Hey guys, welcome back. We're here back at the Mat Chat podcast with myself, Paul Ciatto, Christopher Shay.
How's it going?
And we're very happy to have a great guest here today, and not only the great guest, but a great friend of ours, Vlad Koulikov. Let's give it up for him real quick.
Well, thank you very much. I miss you guys, and thank you for the invite.
Same here.
I was looking forward to chit chat with you guys.
So we're going to get into a little bit, guys. Just to give you some background on Vlad. Vlad is a grappler extraordinaire. Okay, everything grappling. This man has done it. There's no holes in his game. There's no spaces that need to be closed up. He's done it all aspects of that in the arts. Master of sport in Sambo, second-degree judo black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And black belt and just straight badass.
Yes, I agree with that 1000%.
You guys too kind.
And as well as a ton of wrestling credentials and you name it.
Movie credentials, he's done it all.
Absolutely. He's a renaissance man, per se. He does a little bit of everything.
Thank you.
And we're very happy to have him here today.
And he pulls off purple pretty well too.
In the Lenten season, I might add. Right or wrong, as you brought up earlier. So, yes. Very good stuff. Purple, tattoos, Russian. What do you say about that?
You say nothing. You basically walk in the other direction and hand him your wallet and say, I'm sorry.
That's it.
You guys appreciate the sentiment. You both are very capable men too.
Thank you. Before we get into the topic matters today, Vlad, why don't you tell everyone about your new academy, where it's located, and go for yours.
What you're about.
Got you. So, guys, for a couple of years, I taught for Mr. Ciatto here in Soul Fighters, Brewster, New York, and I loved it, and I miss it dearly.
And we miss you.
Yes. I still intend on coming for pro training, and I miss Philippe. Philippe, like, really gave me a new lease on Jiu-Jitsu, you know, like a couple months ago, before my departure, I started to teach to him hand to hand, and I loved it. I miss Philippe. So anyway, but the distance, unfortunately, was a factor. I had to drive 1 hour and a half one way. So long story short, eventually I decided to reopen my academy. I did run my academy with my ex-wife before divorce, and it's called KGA, Kulikov Grappling Academy, and I am a very proud Soul Fighter affiliate. And academy is located in Hewitt, New Jersey, Passaic County. It's like a little bit of a tri-county area, Sussex, Orange, New York, and Passaic, New Jersey.
So you draw from New York also?
Yeah,
nice.
Yes.
Fantastic. And do anything about your class schedule you want to add? Anything you got going on right now specifically that you want to add about that?
Got you. Nothing specifically. If you're interested in classes, hit me up. I don't have it on my website purposely because I want people to call me.
I get it.
Yes, so I have like a captive audience, so to speak. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'm all over. Vlad Koulikov, that's my proper name on Facebook, Sambo Fusion on Instagram, and Sambo Fusion professional Facebook page as well.
So now I hear the fusion side.
Yes.
Are you teaching straight grappling? Are you teaching straight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I mean, what exactly is your philosophy?
That's a great question. Everybody asks me that. You may agree or disagree with me, but I see one sport. Some people love stand-up portion. People prefer maybe Shoei Jiu or sumo or judo, you know, with a very strong stand-up aspect. Some people love rolling on the ground, like a Jiu-Jitsu or whatever, submission grappling for whatever reason. And I love them both equally, you know. So it's very hard for me pick and choose which I like more. So my vision of grappling, I put them together, you know.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. For example, when we work on our jiu-jitsu skills, we kind of often bypass wrestling, which is fine, and we start. I don't like starting on my knees because I'm not wrestling little people or kids, you know. so normal match.
Hold on, you mean to tell me that fights don't start on the knees?
Yes.
Because I feel pretty strong on my knees.
Yes. So I really dislike when both people start on their knees. This is completely removed, like, out of reality as far as I'm concerned. Once you bypass the wrestling aspect, so I like to start top and bottom. Like, so if somebody took me down, right? If I concede a takedown, then I'll set on my back and I pull somebody in half guard, butterfly guard, maybe side control if I want to escape on those, or vice versa. I'll get on top. So that's realistic. But starting on the knees is neither here nor there, right?
Absolutely.
However, and it saves some injury. I'll be honest with you. Like wrestling and stand-up is prone to injury.
It's hard on the body, man.
Yes, it is very hard.
Especially as you get older. Yeah.
Especially if you get older. Of course, there is ways to reduce injury, like, you know, train under a good coach, have crash pads, practice with caution, always warm up, you know, practice your break falls, yada, yada, yada. But in the end of the day, it is much more harder and much more dangerous than pure jiu-jitsu. However, like I said, if you start top and bottom, you kind of accept you're already there. But all matches, even if you decide to pull guard right off the bat, all matches start from standing. So if I pull guard, the dynamics of getting to the mat are different. If we start top and bottom, there's like a certain static quality to that position, you know, it's different. But when I pull guard, somebody can pass on the fly, somebody can knee block you or whatever. So even if you decide not to wrestle but pull guard, it's still different once you start standing.
It's live scenarios.
Exactly. So like there is merit to start, you know, on the ground, top and bottom, but like once in a while, everybody should be starting from neutral standing position, even if you're not intending to wrestle, because that will represent true dynamic of the match.
And it also correlates to both real world situations as well as Jiu-Jitsu matches. When you start, you don't start on your knees or your back. You start from the standing position.
It doesn't make a difference when you compete. Sambo, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, you start on your feet. And like you can pull, but it's still have to start on your feet.
We all here like we train hard. All of us, even blue belts here, freaking killers. We're all pretty good. So sometimes like when you're pretty even on the ground, what will make the difference? Like endurance and ability to wrestle, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I can score 2 off the bat and survive, you know, the ground exchanges, even if I don't do anything, I mean, I would like to pass and submit, but even if a match does not go anywhere else, what's going to be a great equalizer is your takedown ability.
Absolutely,
so,
that makes sense.
And never mind like the, you know, the philosophical part of it or theoretical or application. I just love to freaking wrestle, you know, like even if there was no points allowed.
It's man shit.
Thank you. Yes, I just love it, man. I love the contest.
Now, is that, if I understand correctly, your father was an athlete, correct?
Yes.
What did he do, and how did that inspire you to get involved in the grappling arts?
Gotcha. So let me backpedal a little bit. But when I got married, right, I married to a girl with 2 kids, you know, and obviously I treat them as my own. And they struggled to get involved with martial arts, and I could not comprehend it. I'm like, how could you not? You know, when I was young.
You have access to this expert right here, lives in the house.
Yeah, right. And my dad, like, he never really taught me, but he was a great example. He boxed, wrestled, and he lifted, and he was,
boxed,
you know,
wrestled, and lifted.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, he was trifecta. He was quite an athlete. Like, people would ask autographs because he was like jacked out of his mind. The guy was awesome. So growing up in that environment, and very masculine environment altogether.
A manly environment.
Man shit.
Yes, growing up in that environment, like I was chomping at the bit to start training. So my cousin took me to his Sambo club, and I loved it. I was little, and basically what I was ended up doing was playing soccer with, you know, like a deflated soccer ball, and like he was giving me a piggyback ride. And I was amazed at people training. It was like a true MMA then, you know, they grapple, wrestle, did everything. It was like an old shitty basement. And I loved it. And
how many years ago was that?
That was back in '83. So
oh, wow! Before UFC was even
before UFC,
thought.
Yes. So I took to training very naturally, and I really wanted, as opposed to my stepkids, not to put them on a spot or whatever. Eventually, I understood it takes all kinds to make the world go round.
And that's where you saw Ivan Drago.
Yes.
Started training.
Yes.
Because that's a Rocky shit.
Dude, come on! I mean, that's Rocky right there. And that, let's be honest, for most of us, that's really our exposure to Russia.
Yeah.
We know Ivan Drago's Russia. We know, we know the Siberia with the cold. What's it like? Is it really? I mean, he's a badass. I mean, what's it like being in an environment where they're just badasses all around you?
Once people learn I'm Russian, there's like usually 3 questions I'm asked, or 3 references thrown my way: KGB, vodka, and Ivan Drago.
That makes sense.
Yes, all the time. So yes, and it just happened. So I got extremely lucky. Sambo 70, one of the biggest and most prestigious academies. Some people might argue whether it's the best or not. Obviously, there's plenty of good competition, good Sambo in Russia. But it's a huge academy, you know, comparable to Kodokan for judo. Yeah. And
that's Kodokan of Sambo.
That's right, exactly. And luckily for me, it was like literally a couple of blocks away. I stepped on the mat, and from very first second, I stepped on the mat. I fell in love and never looked back, right? And I was warned by a few people, if I start my own academy, I'll get fed up and, you know, I get burned out. None of that ever happened. Yeah, I'm still as hungry and still as in love with grappling as I was first day.
Dialed in.
Yes. Good match.
I think the one thing that I want to point out with Vlad is, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, is that kids are what they see.
Oh, sure.
There's your example. He saw who his dad is, and it just was a natural progression, you know, to become that. I think the next thing I wanted I wanted to go into was, outside of Vlad's vast knowledge and expertise and credentials in grappling, the one thing that I respect the most, and I mean this, all bullshit aside, we're very good friends, and he knows this. I've said this to him.
If Paul says something, it's usually meant 100%.
He's not going to pull the punches.
He's not going to pull the punches. And one thing that I respect the most about Vlad and his martial arts journey is that there was no shortcuts. And everything that he has that's been tied around his waist, given to him in a diploma, so what, was earned. And it wasn't where, okay, somebody came along and said, you know what, he's a master of Sambo, he's a judo black belt 2nd degree, so you know what, let's just give him the BJJ black belt. He didn't do that. He went through the system, and being teammates as well, I watched and was part of that process. You know, so what we're seeing a lot now on social media, and I'm going to speak for me right now, is that when I see somebody giving a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that's never put on a gi, that's never trained, never went through the system, it's complete bullshit. That is my opinion. My personal opinion. I am a traditionalist, okay? I'm not saying that, you know, what a person's credentials or background doesn't have merit in the process, but as we talk all the time in Jiu-Jitsu, it's a journey, okay? And it'd be like, and I said to Vlad a long time ago, because him and I have talked about this privately. If you remember, I said, oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I'm in the room with Vlad. So, Vlad, give me my judo black belt. And if you don't mind, get me my Kurka, because I'm a Sambo guy.
You would never ask that because you have integrity.
I would never do it.
But if you do, I'd probably politely decline.
Yeah, I mean, you go, of course. It's no doubt like...
Politely, of course.
And again, I had one of the 10th Planet guys, Phil Schwartz. I don't know if you ever met Phil. Eddie Bravo's, he's a brown belt now. Yeah. Nate Orchard's friend. They're good guys. I met them at the Submission Underground a while ago. And him and I were chatting one day, and he has a rank in the gi. And he had a rank, and he's obviously ranked in Eddie Bravo's system. And we spoke privately on Facebook, and he had said to me, what do you think I should compete in? I have a blue belt in the gi, but I'm a brown on the area. You go blue in the gi.
If that's what you are.
That's what you are. I said to him, just so I can put some substance to what I'm saying, I'm going to shut up. I said to Phil Schwartz on Facebook, it was Facebook Messenger, I said, if I came out to Portland to train with you and Nate Orchard, I'd put a white belt on. And I am a 1st degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I would walk into that school and be considered a white belt, period. Because it's a no-gi system.
Something that you don't train as much.
It's not, now listen, we train no-gi, it's part of the culture, but that's a complete system that Eddie Bravo developed. And he's a stud, and I respect it. So I would never walk into their gym and say, oh, I'm a 1st degree black belt under Rafael from Barbosa. You know, I'm not a white belt. No, I'm a white belt. In 10th Planet, I'm a white belt. Regardless of what's going on, I will go through the system. And then based on what you guys see, based on your system, then you can rank me.
And your ranking may even accelerate.
It may accelerate because I've been grappling my whole life. But my point is, the other side of the equation, I am completely against it. And those that accept those belts, shame on you. Period. Shame on you. Because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, from the day the Gracies started it, was with the gi.
Yeah, 100%.
End of story.
Yeah.
And if you think you can, and the guys giving these guys...
So what's your feelings about offering 2 different black belts and considering almost 2 different styles? No gi.
I have no problem with it. It's like,
it makes sense.
That's my point. It's like me training under Vlad saying, Vlad, you need to train me in judo. I'm a white belt in judo.
Of course.
Vlad, I want to do Sambo. I'm not familiar with the ranking system. I know it's a red belt, a blue, right? Red and blue.
Yeah.
It'd be based on what he says. But I would never say, well, I'm this. So that means I should automatically start at next level, especially if you understand Jiu-Jitsu. So a lot of these guys on social media, it drives me crazy. It fucking pisses me off, to be perfectly honest with you. You didn't go through what I went through. Just like I didn't go through what the guys at 10 Planet did, just like what Vlad went through, okay? It's like wrestling, the same thing. There's a big difference between an NCAA All-American and a high school state champ.
Right.
How do you compare the two? You cannot. It's years and years and years of getting to those levels and acquiring those accolades. So I guess my first question is, Vlad, how do you feel about that? What's your, I mean, because you did it, you've done it the right way.
Yes.
So
sir.
For me, that's where we want to talk about that.
I'm on the same page, Paul. If you know, me personally, if I did not earn something, I will place 0 value. So sometimes I'll, you know, and you know you can lie to other people, but you cannot lie to yourself. You know?
But not only that, let's be honest, you can't even really lie to other people, because if you walk into a school, and this is the best part, you're going to be kept accountable, because all you have to do is, if I decide to roll with you and I tell everybody I'm a 6-degree black belt, it's going to show when you choke my eyeballs out.
Correct.
I mean, so there's no, you can't hide. That's the cool thing about these individual sports and the grappling specifically. You can't hide behind it. You walk into a school, you better be what you say you are, because I can guarantee you, you know as well, if somebody walks into our school, they're going to be put against our guys to see just what their merit is.
We're talking specific jiu-jitsu though.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my point. Like, you put a belt on someone's waist, then you better go represent that wherever you go in the country, the world, as far as I'm concerned. I guess to circle back quickly is that I'm speaking about these guys out there that are given Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts or any other black belt, any other art for that matter, because they've grappled something and done it. When they haven't been through the steps, they didn't start from day one the way it was designed to be done.
Yes, there is very specific system and blueprint to Jiu-Jitsu and grip fighting, and if you're good at generally grappling, you don't do Jiu-Jitsu, you do submission wrestling or submission grappling.
Right. You call it something else.
Yeah,
just catch wrestling.
Exactly, you call it whatever you want. Like, let's look at Greco-Roman wrestling and Judo. There are very similar objectives. You cannot touch the leg, they favor like upper body takedowns, they favor pins, but it's still two different sports, you know, like because you master of Judo, you can shed the gi and become all of a sudden
Olympic level Greco-Roman.
Or vice versa. There is a certain crossover, but like the methods of training and gripping and approach changes. So, like, yeah, if you grapple to the left, no matter how badass you are, if you never put the gi on and if you never train and sweat it in a gi, you cannot be a black belt in a gi, because it's two different sports. Objectives are the same, you want to take somebody down and submit them, but how you go there is different.
And you said there's a lot of crossover, but it's not the same.
Yes, no, it's not the same. No, if you want to earn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, you have to train in a gi and hopefully compete in the gi as well.
Yeah, no.
Under the rule set.
Now, what's your feelings about that? An instructor who teaches but maybe doesn't compete or competes, do you have a feeling on?
Gotcha. Yeah. So there are plenty. Let's look at Danaher, right? Danaher.
Yeah.
Very cerebral individual.
Yeah,
some might
Colombian.
Some might say a genius or whatever, but he never competed. So although he can deliver knowledge, relate knowledge or whatever, although sometimes in a bit of a condescending way.
Correct.
Yes. But still, man is a brainiac, and sometimes like. A lot of things he says, I'm like, why did not I think of that? You know, the way he crystallizes in a clean form.
Master of his trade.
It's awesome, yes. But he never trained, never competed. Sorry, yes. So he can relate technique, but as a competition coach, maybe he would not be the best fit. I competed. I know the nerves. The weight cut, you know, the butterflies,
all the different
weight.
dynamics.
I've been there, I experienced, and when people ask me competition advice, I've been there, so I can relate some personal knowledge, you know, when people like Danaher cannot. So there is merit for, you know, both things, but like if I compete, I'd rather have coach that competed himself. Maybe not necessarily awesome, maybe not necessarily a winner, but if he competed and he knows what I'm dealing with, he understands, yeah, firsthand, I'll be feeling more comfortable with that.
You make a very good point, because a lot of guys in all professional sports, like Bill Parcells, coach of the Giants, 2 Super Bowls, not a good player.
Right.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah, they don't always correlate.
Patriots.
Yes.
They weren't good. They weren't great pros. Some didn't even make it to the pros, but they are phenomenal coaches. That's why I revert back to.
That was fast.
That's awesome. You like cats? Look at you go.
So that, right?
Exactly. So
I can do it on both sides too. That's the cool part about it.
So the other part of it is, it also shows you that you don't need to be a world champion to have a successful academy.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a matter of how you translate and deliver the information and how it applies. There's always the plus to having that, or having someone like this, or anyone in your academy that competes and
let's
has
be
that
honest,
experience.
You're still competing. If I remember correctly, didn't you just come back from Japan? Yeah. Like what was that all about?
Okay, so there's a sport called combat wrestling. It's fairly old sport from late 80s, early 90s, and if you go on YouTube, it's very dynamic no-gi style.
Timeless and stuff too, right? Like right away. When you
yes. And it used to be exclusive to Japan. So if you go on YouTube and like punch in combat wrestling highlights, you'll see Rumina Sato, Masukazu Imanari, and other people.
God bless you. Oh, those are people. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Those are athletes that fought in like early Japanese MMA. So and it's very dynamic, exciting stuff. However, a few years ago, 3 years ago, to be honest with you, there's a gentleman, Ivelo Ivanov from Bulgaria. He took over. He took it from Koguchi, originator of the style, and he slightly changed the rules. So virtually, combat wrestling right now is a no-gi sub-grappling sport-art that emphasizes and uses almost a rule set that almost identical to Sambo. There is there are two types of Sambo wrestling, or international Sambo, and combat. And in Sambo wrestling, there's no chokes and no heel hooks. Okay. And so the only difference outside of the uniform versus no-gi in combat wrestling is that you can do toe holds. And there's like slight modifications of scoring, but generally it's very Sambo-esque.
So it works right into your system.
Yes, exactly. And it's very like 50-50. You know, like Jiu-Jitsu favors ground. Judo, although there's mat work, favors stand-up, but this one is truly 50-50. You have to like go fast because you're given limited amount of time on the ground.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
It's almost like freestyle. You take them down, you try to do it doesn't work, they stand you back up.
Yes, it's kind of like freestyle with submissions. Exactly.
So they want to keep it exciting and either get a finish or win by points very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because that. So when you won your class up, you actually wrestled up, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you went up a weight class.
Yes. When I came in there, I'm wrestling at 82 kgs, which is like roughly 180 pounds. But there was nobody in my class, and there was nobody in class above. So originally, I was planning on going 2 classes over. But one guy in the heavyweight division was not a true heavyweight, so he dropped to 1 weight down. So that's how I got my point. He was very skilled, very worthy, very game opponent.
Oh sure, fantastic. Well, just the fact that they're showing up there. I mean, I would think anybody is a worthy opponent. But if they show up and you're willing to match your skills against somebody else, in my opinion, you're worthy. Whether you're good or not is a different story, but you're worthy.
I so totally agree. Everybody who competes is a winner, because like even if you don't become a champion, like the sheer fact that you found testicular fortitude to deal with that environment.
Man, shit.
Yes, the sheer fact that you deal with it like tells me volumes about your character. So you folks that still compete, and myself in their 40s, like God bless us. Yeah,
40-year-old studs, baby.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm a 40-year-old stud, but I'm pretty good looking.
Well, you're kind of
like
I'm good looking.
Well, I can tell you the motif you have on today, because the shirt, gray, the white lettering, repping Vlad.
That's right.
And the white and the gray matched the whole hair stuff, and the red Kulikov, the tone of your skin just brings it out.
Dude, it's a fire in it. It's just a fire burning in my belly.
It looks really good to me.
Was it premeditated, or you just...
No, completely premeditated. I knew you were going to be here, and I figured, you know what? Let me represent.
Thank you.
There you go.
Check out the lats while I'm doing it.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's a great lat spread.
It's almost like a billboard.
Forget about it. You're like Mothra.
like a Matt Cobra.
Exactly. Something was said to me a long time ago, and I think it applies to what Vlad was just talking about, that, especially as you get older and you want to compete, there's less guys in their 40s and 50s that are competing. Because let's face it, they're not healthy enough to do it. They lose the fire.
They don't have time.
They don't have time. But like, if you're still going out there to compete at that level, which says this, and it was said to me a long time ago, because you'd show up, oh man, there's only one guy in my division. Okay, well guess what? Those are the 2 toughest guys in that area.
Old bulls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 toughest guys. I'm going to say with the adults, if you end up with 2 guys in your division, those are the 2 toughest guys in the area that are going to put it out there, because everyone else is out there a lot of lip service, a lot of shit talking, and they're not doing it. So 2 guys, guess what? You're the 2 toughest guys,
and you can only fight those in front of you.
Right.
You can't fight anybody else.
I think the mentality is, like I said, those people's mentalities are, I'm going to show this guy or these guys who the boss is.
Right.
So yeah, you are the legitimate champion, because everyone else talk a lot of garbage.
Now, at your schools, do you train more for competition? Do you train more for the street? Do you train more for, just self-defense?
Understood. Okay, so self-defense, if we're not talking about fighting multiple opponents or guns and knives, self-defense is basically fighting as a counter-fighting. So if you have some kind of fundamentals of any grappling art, regardless, Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, Judo, wrestling, and some striking, you're golden, all right? So you know what I'm saying? So to me, self-defense, when people say self-defense, in my nomenclature, in my head, it's implied that you're either fighting a few guys or there's some kind of weaponry involved. Everything else is just a fight.
Well, you're also from Russia, so there's crazy shit happening. And we're not in Detroit here, we're up in Brewster, New York. So I'm hoping that I'm not fighting guys.
No, but he has a very his point's valid because people, you love this stuff at all. You're going to handle multiple attackers. I can tell you, for me, if I'm in a situation with multiple attackers, I have concealed carry.
That's the best, man.
I just pick my shirt up.
Here's my wallet. And you need my sneakers. But I'm saying, take my sneakers. Have a nice day.
But I'm saying in a sense where you feel threatened.
When your life is at stake, you don't have a choice.
And I can fight. But guess what? I'm not fighting 5 guys.
No.
Here's what's happening. You make me feel threatened. This is what's happening.
Exactly.
It's my right and it's the law.
So to answer your question, I would say more of a competition. Like as soon as I got involved with Sambo, I started to compete right off the bat, you know. And I understand it's not end-all measuring stick for your skill, but to me it is important. So I'm trying to gauge the students what they want. Generally, I would say that KGA is like competition-oriented gym, just like Soul Fighters.
Yeah, sure.
But if somebody wants to be a recreational player, like Jiu-Jitsu is for everybody, you know, training is for everybody. If they want to train and have fun, lose weight, whatever, and don't want to compete, I'm okay with that. But I will push my agenda a little bit, yeah. yeah.
You've had Lavelle Marshall come in. I've seen lately. I love that dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you had him here with you a few times when you were here with us, and I'm actually been speaking to him. We're gonna have him here once we.
Yeah.
You know, I've been having him here, and we've been communicating. Once we get the expansion done here.
You love. He's got a unique like twist to throws.
Man, the leg taps and stuff. I know. I'm like, he just launches people. Yes. I'm like, I gotta learn that. So as an older bull, man, he does stuff that looks so applicable.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, I saw a little clip. I think it was from BJJ Eastern Europe. So this guy doing like crazy, fantastic shit. I'm like, who is this? Who's this guy?
And let me tell you, he's an athlete too.
Oh yeah,
he's older.
No, he's a younger bull.
Okay,
yeah. He's in his prime years.
Late 20s, yeah. So I hit him up, I'm like, hey, so you do Jiu-Jitsu, and that's how friendship started. And
nice.
So now we train. I'm actually trying to compete in Jiu-Jitsu just to, you know, just to conquer another height, try something I have not competed. Because Sambo, for example, has sacrifice throws, which I love, you know, and they feed me right to mat work. And there is no sacrifice throws in Jiu-Jitsu. You cannot kneel, you cannot fall, it's all like stand up.
Right.
So that will present a certain challenge, you know. So I would like to conquer that one, conquer that challenge.
Now, somebody who competes as much as you, what is like your pregame like? Do you have certain foods? I mean, like for people out there that want to start competing, do you have any clinical pearls or any secrets to say, hey, or just bring your balls and do your best?
Exactly, pretty much. So like my diet doesn't change, you know. Like I always try to eat fairly clean. The only thing I'll try to apply a lot of positive self-talk, and I don't meditate in a sense of Zen Buddhism, but I try to like focus and you know, envision myself winning or whatever. A lot of positive talk. And I generally, honestly, don't have any butterflies when I step on the mat, because when I all the thinking, all the cerebralizing, all the scenario that runs through your head, it runs before the mat. Once I step on the mat, I'm like complete zen, a complete mushin mind. Just try to do it, because if you think, you're often behind.
Is that something you've always had, or is that something that you developed?
It's something I developed, like consciously.
I think over time it does. I couldn't agree with you more when I went out to the Worlds this past last year. Same thing. I remember Leo Delgado walking up to me and I was dancing. And I was listening to my beats. He's like,
break dancing?
And he can dance to this guy. This man can dance.
I'm a dancing elephant, baby. So bottom line is, I'm out there. I'm ready to go. He's like, Fatty, aren't you nervous? I'm like, no. I came here to kick ass. I've been doing this how many years? And what am I nervous about? You know, like, you guys are still nervous? Come on. You know, so to this point, probably at the beginning, yes, of course I was. But at this point in the game, you know, it's a process. And
let's be honest, you have nothing to lose anymore. Now it's just for fun.
There is a bit of a pressure to represent your gym, you know, your style, yourself, and especially when you like in public eye, like us, being instructors, you want to deliver. But in the end of the day, you only want to impress yourself, only do your best.
Awesome.
And as we said before, everybody's a champion if you step on the mat.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
They don't deserve an award, but they're a champion.
Exactly. If they win it, hashtag man shit.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but guys, Vlad, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you coming down here.
Always a pleasure.
We're not going to see you all the time anyway, but guys, go check out Vlad's Kulikov Grappling Academy, Facebook. You have a website?
Yeah, SamboFusion.com.
There you go. His website, Facebook, check him out. Google him, Vladislav Kulikov. You'll get all the information you need.
I mean, he's an expert in the grappling art.
Soul fighters, baby.
And soul fighters, baby. Absolutely.
And as far as this side of the Hudson guys, you gotta check this gym out. We have tremendous. I still say we because I still feel
you're still part of it.
We have tremendous instructors and a good student body, good mat space, and it's gonna get even bigger. You must. Please, trust me, you must check out Soul Fighters Brewster, New York.
Awesome, guys. Guys, great to see everybody again. Matt Chat Podcast, Paul Ciatto, Chris Shay, Vlad Koulikov. We'll catch you next time.